I'm Dawn Mayetta from Sage Garden Project. You probably know Sage Garden Project is a program that brings gardening and cooking to elementary schools all across California. Now that we're stuck at home, I thought I'd help you by teaching a lesson on flexible casseroles. What do you do when it's time to make dinner and you have all these odd things? If you print out the recipe that's on the website, you'll get the basics. And so let's talk about the food groups and what it is that we're going to make. So for a flexible casserole, we'll start with a group of ingredients. The first one is protein. So I hope that you've studied this and you know a little bit about what protein is. I have some bits and pieces in my refrigerator and freezer. This is a little piece of frozen hamburger that I'm going to, this is what I chose to use today, but you could also use canned tuna or canned chicken. You could use frozen chicken. You could use beans because they're protein, aren't they? We're not going to use cheese, even though that has a lot of protein, because we're going to use it in another way. And we know broccoli has a lot of protein, but we're going to count that as a vegetable. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make my protein half beans and half ground beef. So I'm going to fry this ground beef up with a little bit of, look what else I have in my pantry today. I have some chicken taco seasoning. So now I've sauteed the beef and added the taco seasoning, and I'm going to add the beans that I've drained to that, and my protein is ready. So if you can probably guess, I have a theme going, and I'm thinking it's going to be kind of a Tex-Mex casserole, kind of a tamale pie kind of a thing. So I'm trying to now pick that sort of flavor. Let's see what I have in my kitchen today. I have a bag of potatoes. I have stuffing left over from last Thanksgiving. I have sweet potato fries. I have lots of rice. Our house always has lots of rice. And I have cornmeal. I could make cornmeal bread and then crumble it up and put that in. That'd make a nice starch. Or even this ready to go brown rice and quinoa. So there's lots of different kinds of starches you could use. I think I'm going to try to use up this leftover cornbread stuffing because I don't know what else I'm going to make with that, and I don't want to have it in the refrigerator. So I'm going to make the stuffing according to the package directions, and one of the things I'll need to do is cut an onion. So if you're cleared with your parents about using a knife at home, you can try this. This is something that we teach our third graders in class. We'll cut off not the stem end, but the top. And I'm going to actually do it a kind of an easy way for you today. I'm going to cut it in half first, peel the paper part off. And then cut always down toward your cutting mat, and always protect your fingers by using the claw. And then once you have those vertical cuts, then you can cut this way and it comes out chopped. Voila. So we have one onion chopped. And we're also going to use a couple pieces of garlic. This whole thing is called a bulb. These individual things are called cloves. I'm going to show you this cool bench scraper. This is a great tool. You just press down with the bench scraper, and you can buy these for like $1 when you get to go to the dollar store again. Takes the papery part right off that. Press down and it makes the papery part come off the garlic clove very easily. Then you can just chop that up. See how I'm holding the knife steady, and you don't hear any chopping sound, do you? If you hear chopping sound, you're not cutting properly. Okay, let's fry this up. So now we have our protein ready to go, we have our starch ready to go, and it's time to decide about vegetables. we're gonna need about 2 times 15 ounces. So how many cups is that? That is about 4 cups. So this is a 4-cup measuring cup, so we're gonna need to fill this with vegetables. Now this is the thing that I have run out of most of all, is fresh vegetables, because we actually have not been going to the store. Here's what I have left. I have some carrots, which really don't sound too much like they would go in a Mexican dish. I have some shredded cabbage, which doesn't really sound good to me. I have some mixed vegetables in a can just for this kind of purpose. Carrots, potatoes, sweet peas, corn, green beans. Still doesn't kind of sound too good. Corn, I have frozen corn. I'm going to use that. That sounds like it's right up my alley, what I want to use. Corn sounds good in a tamale pie kind of thing. And I have diced green chilies. I'm going to use those. What else do I have? Tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, and salsa. And I have a random jar of black olives. So I think I'm going to add the olives and the diced green chilies. I'm still going to use these liquid things in my, I think I'll use the tomatoes too. That sounds good. So we have our 4 cups of vegetables now. Frozen corn, a can of diced green chilies, some drained tomatoes, and some olives that I chopped up. So that'll be just the perfect amount. Now I'm going to use my measuring cup again for the sauce. So for sauce, for a casserole, there are so many things that you can use. The typical American housewife when I was growing up would use cream soup, cream of mushroom soup in particular, but you can use chicken broth or any kind of vegetable broth. You can use spaghetti sauce, enchilada sauce. I don't happen to have enchilada sauce, but I have a very mild salsa, so I'm going to put that in. And I have our leftover tomato juice from the drained tomatoes. We need to come up with 3 cups of sauce. So with the rest, I'm going to put this tomato sauce in to bring it up to 3 cups. Now I have extra seasoning in the taco meat that I made earlier because this is less spicy. So that'll kind of balance out. This kind of cooking is fun because there's no right or wrong. You can play a little bit. You don't have to measure very carefully. You can substitute. I have a good time doing this. So I made a layer of my protein. Now I'm putting in, let's see. Do I want the vegetables next? Yes. So I'll stir up the vegetables and put them in. So we'll have the starch on the top. Here we go. And on the top, we'll put our starch, which is our cornbread stuffing that has the onion and the garlic in it. I prepared it just exactly according to the box directions. So it has some flavoring in it. And then we get to add cheese. That is on top and it's not mixed in, so maybe I'll mix it, push it down in. The last thing we want to think about is toppings. I think I'm going to add French fried onions, which I have also left over from Thanksgiving. And I will put them on, but later in the baking process. And in the oven it goes. So it's been 20 minutes and the casserole has baked nicely. It's bubbly on the edges. The tomato sauce is getting brown. So it's time to add the toppings and then put it in for 10 more minutes. I'm gonna put some French fried onions on the top and the rest of the cheese. So I don't wanna overdo it, but these will be nice, a crunchy topping. Should be tasty. So there's that. Otherwise you could use nuts. You could use pepitas maybe, or chopped up tortilla chips if you had them. Just depends on what you have in the house. And then we're gonna add the rest of our cheese. There we go. And back into the oven. So it's been 10 minutes and it looks pretty delicious. You'll notice I'm not setting this casserole right on my countertop. I have a cutting board here, and you'll probably want a trivet or a towel or a pot holder or something to put yours on when you bring it out of the oven. So I'm gonna let it cool for a minute or two, and then I'm gonna try a bite. The resting time lets it hold together so that hopefully you can get a nice piece out. I put a little bit of salad on my plate because I just always feel like I need to have a little salad. Bon appetit! So you might think this is the best part of cooking, and it's a good part to eat what you made, but I really like sharing it with my family. So that'll be the best part for me.